I love mentoring, I love coaching, I love giving the information to the mentees, helping them drive their path. Because once upon a time, I was in their spot. I was in their spot in areas where I had to deliver aspects. I was thrown in the deep sea. I was trying to swim, and no one was actually helping me out. Now, leadership is a lonely path. A lonely path where you need to figure out, without a mentor, without a coach, your way through. And leadership, you don't have friends. And if you try to open your heart to something, they might see you incapable, not right for the position because you have a lot of worries. But when you have a mentor and you have a coach that helps you drive and helps you to actually navigate through these challenges, from work politics to private sector challenges, to driving complicated projects that you have no clue how to deliver. These are areas where you need a mentor to really help you and drive you through. Now, with the National Experts Program 4.0 and the 5.0 coming up, I think it's a great opportunity to bring experts from the national cadre to really show them the lights on things to do. I remember days where Maryam joined me, if I allow me, I need to grill you a little bit, but she joined me when she was an intern. And when she joined me as an intern back in the days, I made sure her office and her seat just in front of my desk. She wanted to hide somewhere else. I said, you're going to sit here in front of me every single day. My office, my door is open. You're going to come in whenever you want. You're going to ask me whatever you want. There are things that we're going to do a deal where you're going to do something that 50% of the deal, I'll give you a task to do. And 50% of the deal, you're going to come up with something that you want to do, all right? Is it fair? 50-50? We agreed. She went and we sat. First thing, I gave her a book to read. And I told her, I need you to read the book. Second part, I gave her a manual to read. I didn't tell her where the manual is. I told her, there is a manual. This is the title of the manual. You go fetch it out. I was a very tough mentor. And I said, you need to go figure it out somewhere on the World Wide Web. And you need to download that manual. You need to come back. And after reading it, find it first, read it second. And after you finish reading it, I need 5 policies, ideas. And she went on and she delivered on it. And if you know the background of Maryam, Maryam is an accountant. And she was still studying in the university at that time. Today, she is a CEO of a company called Rebound and Circularity. She runs a private sector company and pushing forward even that into the private sector. She left the government way before. But that kind of aspect is challenging young Emiratis to go and to come back with ideas and things. This is kind of building the grit in the mentorship and so forth. So I'm here on stage. I'm going to be grilling time, and I'm going to be asking questions. First of all, I'd like to ask each and every one of you to introduce yourself. I did a little bit of Maryam, but Maryam has a lot on her pockets to speak about herself. So if you can give 1 minute each to introduce yourselves.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Maryam Al Mansoori. I'm fortunate enough to be here today as I've been His Excellency's mentee for almost 10 years now, starting as a volunteer and then as a policy analyst at the Secretariat of the Cabinet. And today I lead a private company, mainly known for a company called Rebound, trying to build an Alibaba Amazon version of recycled materials for the world from the UAE.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohamed Tarmoom, and I was part of the 3rd cohort of NEP, focusing on economic development By way of background, I'm part of a sovereign wealth fund based out of Abu Dhabi, and we do investments mainly focused in airspace in country. And working with His Excellency really helped me broaden my perspective when it comes to not only looking at financial returns when it comes to investment, but really looking at how this investment will affect the kind of broader economy, whether it's to induce jobs, whether it's through sustainability, or all these other arguments. So it really helped broaden my perspective as to investing in the UAE.
I shocked Mohammed one day. I told him, you need to shadow me for a day and a half, was it?
Yeah.
Day and a half. And he said, what do I need to do? I said, you need to follow me. What was that day and a half? Can you explain that day and a half?
So yeah, it was in Investopia. So me going in saying, let's schedule, an hour every month, let's have some structure. That's typically how the mentorship experience goes from my experience. But he's like, why don't you join me for Investopia? We're hosting a conference here, and you're gonna see me live in action. And honestly, that the day and a half that I shadowed him, I've learned more than I can learn in maybe 10 years of these 1 hour sessions every month. So just being hands-on and being involved with the minister and seeing him, from an interview to a panel and just shadowing him through it really helped me get an insight of what the minister does on a day-to-day basis.
A crazy day, huh?
It was a washing machine, as I told you.
Mohamed?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohamed Al Mazrouei. I'm a senior investment manager at Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, where I've covered the global equity markets for over a decade.
Right? Yeah,
Sorry?
Pentagon. The idea is like
Yes,
you're a black box.
yes.
You don't know what you guys do.
That's right. During that time, I'd like to think I've learned a little bit about what investors value and why they choose to invest in certain countries over others. My time with His Excellency was quite valuable because I saw how the government uses the tools that they have, like policy reform, for example, to make the UAE more attractive and more competitive for international investors.
Yeah, I think one of the aspects is investments looks at the ibtida or the profit and loss and investments on that and when time to exit. But really building as well narrative to investment is very important. Why are we investing in this? Why is this important? And this is, I think, something that brings policy as well to the idea. I think I want to ask a question, most probably to Maryam, and I'll come to you guys. Is why do you see the program really matters? What's really helped you out on this, and what's really is so important?
I think there's a misconception of what leaders they look like, or the type of micro involvement that they might be impacting on from afar. So the program shapes understandings between leaders that are top on the hierarchy, but they also disseminate information and knowledge to the future leaders of tomorrow, as well as just enablement, transparency, and learning the principles that a lot of the leaders carry today.
I think you're right. I think one important thing is, if you allow me to read the aspect, is and speak about experts. And I always tell the team, I say, you're always going to be thrown out in the deep sea. And you will look shocked. You'll be given a project you have no clue how to deliver. You will have no budget in your pockets. And you'll be asked to deliver something to the moon. And I think the most important aspect is to build skills. And skills that really, allows you to churn. One important thing that we learned from our leadership. Let's go back 50 years. 50 years, the UAE has nothing. 53 years, the UAE had nothing. We're a desert, we're scarcity. We are a place where we import to date 90 to 95% of our food. Water scarcity, we desalinated the sea. But the leadership in our desert had something in common as values, which is very important to build in leadership. And that value is, number one is abundance. We give what we don't have. And the leadership in the UAE had a huge abundance. We had this abundance in our tribal beliefs, an abundance of giving. And what leadership really took on the world. They said, we can turn this country from a desert to a modern state, a modern country that can really deliver on abundance, giving the world. Today, we deliver on global things. We solve challenges on a global level, not just the UAE's challenges. And you are the experts of the future, the national experts of the future. What really comes into your mind, Mohamed? It's a grill now. What comes really in your mind? What type of abundance that you give from the expert program to the world, and what would you give as well as a country, not just in your field and where you work in?
I think for me, time is something that is very valuable, and I think working especially with young people it's a two-way relationship. Of course, you get from your mentors, whether it's the Minister of Economy or any senior people in the organization, you get quite a bit of information. And it's never too early to pass that information on to the future generation, whether it's high school kids, whether it's people in university. So for me, what's very important is to continuously engage the youth, no matter what level you are on that ladder, and keep kind of passing the wisdom throughout your time. And as you're learning, you pass it on to future generations. That's me. Time is probably what I would pass down the most.
I think that's exactly where it is. Time. How do you pass time? How do you make sure that you give as well beyond just your area? And Mohamed.
Yes, sir.
On the ADIA, what's your new investments? Sorry. I think. What policies that now you see in the UAE that change your investments, that you learned from the UAE Expert Program, that changed your ways that you look at investments in your portfolio?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think one thing that the program clearly demonstrated to me and my time with you made very clear was how you utilized the tools in your toolkit. So as you specifically mentioned, policy reform, I recall you and I had identified several areas of friction which had come up within the private sector economy as a result of interviews that we had conducted with market participants. And we took that back to the office and we brainstormed solutions, and you very kindly ran me through the policy drafting templates and the policy frameworks.
Yes, the same manual I gave Maryam.
Yes, yes. I believe policy is one of your favorite tools, Your Excellency, if I'm not mistaken. So I think seeing the process end to end, from identifying a problem in the private sector, taking it back, picking it apart, and then drafting policy, which is then ratified by the cabinet, such that solutions are enacted, really very clearly demonstrated to me the role that the government plays to not only support the private sector, but to strengthen the ecosystem. And so, as it pertains to your question, Your Excellency, within the investment framework, I think what we look for in countries that we invest in is a strong rule of law. We look for a supportive government. We look for supportive economic policies. We look for robust regulatory frameworks. We look for robust legal frameworks. Those are all some of the things, Your Excellency, that I learned during my time with you, which I now apply to the investment framework that we utilize when allocating capital to international markets.
That's right. I think that's a wise thing to do. Invest in countries that have the right policy framework, the right impact, the right protection to investments. And I think that's something which is very important. And that's what we really dwell ourselves on here in the UAE, is to make sure policies is in the right place. Policies, let me explain what policy is to the audience. And I think it's important to, because some people say, no, it's laws and legislations and then policies, or strategies and legislations and then policy. I say, no, policies first. Why? Policy, what's a policy? A policy is if you have a problem. If you don't have a problem, you don't need a policy. And a policy, it could be combinations of tools, from new legislations to initiatives to laws to incentives. These are policies that really put things together. So what are you driving is you need to find a problem, problem finding. And that problem finding then can initiate policies. And I think that's the most important aspect, because you need to look at policy with impact, right? So what does the policy have, and how does this impact really the knowledge that you guys learned and what you're trying to solve? Maryam, you're working on one of the problems that the world is seeing. Can you explain the challenge that you do and what policies that you look at? Because as an expert now in your field, You're solving for a problem. Don't look at me as a problem guy. But I'm a civil engineer, so civil engineers by science are problem solvers. So this is one of the skills I'd like you to elaborate more.
So whenever we used to sketch policies in terms of projects or cabinet recommendations, we used to approach it from all angles, making sure that we've included all stakeholders, direct and indirect. Today, in the private sector, in my field, again, I come from the circularity and sustainability field. That mindset today allows me to first look at what are the policies that the private sector is working on or based out of, given the countries or the regions that they come from. What are the incentives that countries give this industry or these stakeholders that can be replicated or have a butterfly effect when we look at global trade of circular materials? So policies really are the heart and the root of the success of cities and countries, because if you understand policy making, why policies are put, and what each policy solves, you'll be able to derive interesting business cases for private sector as well as for investments.
So what's the problem? What's the problem you're solving? What's the challenge the world is seeing today in your field that you created Rebound?
Too many problems, but one of them is that waste emits methane. Methane is a silent greenhouse gas, killing a lot of the environmental fields and ecosystems. So Rebound is solving why is waste ending up in the landfill when it can end back in the economy. And so we're trying to create value for very valuable materials, but that haven't had a formal market before. So that's why we're creating a neutral marketplace that brings together all stakeholders in the field to trade, have an impact on the economy, and most importantly, tap into the $713 billion circular economy that we're yet to see in the next 2 years.
I think that's something which is important, which is you created a platform that actually people bring their waste and put it on this platform, and the platform gets sold to people who wants this waste and reuse it. And do you look at it internationally or locally?
So we look at it internationally. Alhamdulillah, since we launched Rebound in September 2022 to date, we've had over 200 companies from over 52 countries. Of course, a lot of this goes back to the fact that we are a UAE-based company. And so due to that, we've had traction. We've helped global markets and global trades, at least per month, around 600 metric tons. So
Thank you for contributing to the 3.2 trillion, sorry.
No problem. But alhamdulillah, things are going well. And all of this is thanks to mentorship and leadership guidance in the UAE. Your Excellency, I think it's our turn to ask you a few questions.
Oh,
just before.
Is it part of the plan?
Yes, it was. Sorry, but my question to you would be, why do you mentor? Or can you share a story that has impacted you ever since you started mentoring?
I felt the abundance, back to the values of abundance, and I realized that mentorship or leadership is a lonely thing to do, right? And I wanted guidance. I had many, not challenges, but many tasks to do that has, the leadership in the UAE give you tasks that has no boundaries. And how do you look at these tasks or these projects in ways that you can go beyond this? And I managed to use a couple of skills that really helped me to go forward. One, the skill of curiosity. And I'm a very curious person. I'll go to the deepest end to learn something, and I'll get out of it. So I'm a kind of a person who goes very vertical on the aspects and learn the details of it, and even if I don't know it. And coming out of it, learning another skills, and this is kind of curiosity that really, really builds in me. And I went back, I said, why am I curious, right? And I went back to Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he went to Ghar Hira. He spent 40 nights. Why he spent 40 nights? He was curious. He was curious about the world. He was curious about the planet Earth. He was curious about so many things. until Jibreel came to him and told him, اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. اقرأ. For the word read, there was the first verse in the Quran, read and write. And these two words that really built this kind of curiosity in me, that I want to read and I want to write, and I took back that. Today, when we raise our kids and they ask so many questions, I have so many difficult questions for my kids, but they come back and we say, stop asking questions. We tend as parents, when they are so annoying, we tend to say, no, stop it, you're asking too many deep questions, or it's not the right age to answer this, but you are in a situation where that you have to navigate. But when I learned curiosity is important to build in the kids, was something that really pushed me even further to look at the education system. How does the education system build curiosity in our kids? When I go to the parents meetings, my wife asks us all about the math and science and everything they do with the behavior in class. And at the end of the meeting, I raise my hand. I say, how do you build curiosity in my kids? And that takes another 30 minutes. Because I really dwell into it to make sure that their curiosity is built. And I think that's something which is important, not just in kids, but in leadership. What are you guys curious about? What's the deepest part you want to learn from? And I think that's something which experts needs to be as well, is to build curiosity in other fields that really builds in the kind of aspects of leadership. And I want to channel this to everybody to be curious, especially the UAE as a country and leadership in the country, is how do you build your guys' curiosity? Don't say, I don't know. Do not say, I say, I'll figure it out. I'll find out how to do it. That's the answer you need to go forward with.
My turn, Your Excellency.
Oh, God.
So, they say culture starts from the top. And when I was first paired up with the Minister of Economy, I was like, okay, it's, how do I approach it? How do I make sure I make the most of this opportunity? But what I was shocked was the response I got from His Excellency and his office. They said, this is the projects we're working on. Let us know where you want to get plugged in. So that open culture, and the example you gave earlier in Investopia, is that come shadow me for a day. No problem. Come see what we're doing. Get involved. So my question to you here is, Your Excellency, how can you set up an organization that can have a mentorship program that's so open with its mentees?
Well, when we designed it with Ahmed, I think he came in before then NEP 1.0. I think the idea of sketching the idea. I said, Ahmed, please use me as much as you want. And please feel free that I will really engage the mentees on different aspects, because the kind of abundance and giving. And I know the challenge that you guys face. I know exactly, I've been in your place. I know exactly what you guys are facing. I know exactly what the politics in offices looks like. I know exactly how you navigate. I know exactly any challenge that, and I've been in many situations that I can help you. You have a good boss, you have a bad boss. What do you do? How do you navigate? How do you, get things done? And I think that's something that I wanted to showcase to the mentees, that, choose any project you want. Let me complicate it for you. Let me help you out and navigate you towards your direction. Now, there's a difference between a mentee and a mentor and a coach. Coach will never tell you the answer. He will always find the answer, ask you to find the answer within you, right? He'll ask you many questions that you might, navigate yourself, and you go, aha moment, and you find it. But mentor will not. Mentor will tell you exactly what to do. And that's something which I leveraged. And I leveraged aspects of, let me give you guys my skills that I've learned through my 20 years of working, for you guys to learn the actual aspects of going forward. And I think this is something very important. And the other part of it as well, when opening all these projects up, is how do you build network? And networking with the teams, networking with the people, getting to know people in the industry is one of the most vital aspects. As a leader, you have to have a network. And I can spend an hour on networking, because that's something which is very important as well for any leader.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, a question for me, please. As I observed during the program with you, And as you alluded to in your earlier comments, problem solving for you is a quite intentional, deliberate process. You seek problems.
Yes,
You
my
don't
hobby.
wait. You don't wait for problems to come to you. And from that, I understand is you're seeking opportunities to help.
Sometimes I create them.
You're seeking opportunities to help and to facilitate the ecosystem and to help the economy run more smoothly. So my question is, Your Excellency, in that same spirit of you pursuing opportunities to help, what advice would you give us to identify opportunities for us to contribute more meaningfully in the public sector?
I think the sky is the limit when it comes to opportunities. And the problems are many in the world. And sometimes it's important to look at it from an aspect as what opportunities are you creating, not just for the UAE, but global. If it's my dream, I'd like to see leaders and mentees solve challenges, global challenges, beyond the boundaries of the country of the United Arab Emirates. When I hear Maryam, or Mohamed, and you trying to solve problems not just in the UAE, but global challenges, that's where it makes us proud. And I think that's the message. It's important, the skills that you have as an expert, not just for the UAE. How would you solve for global challenges? Now, when you say global challenges, you need three skills. Skill of the curiosity, skill of problem solving, of course. Sometimes people say change it to solution focused, I know, problem solving. And the third one is networking. Who do you know globally can come to you and work together on a global aspect to solve for global challenges? I would love to see mentees to really solve for these kind of bigger aspects of challenges. And I think that's where it really puts you guys in a position where you have to push even beyond the boundaries of the UAE. And I think it's an important aspect. Let me conclude. I think we run out of time. But I think the most important aspect is how do you go beyond this? I gave you now 3 skills that you have. There are many skills to learn. But these are 3 of mine: curiosity, problem solving, and networking. And when networking it's important to really build relationship globally. You can only manage 20 networks. You cannot go beyond 20. Don't go beyond and say, oh, I'll have management of more than 100 people to network with. No, you have 20. Who are these essential 20 people that you're going to network with? They're going to solve for global challenges. I hope the next NAP have global challenges, because when you solve for bigger challenges, you explode your skills and go beyond. And I think I'll close here. I think the most aspect is to advocate the program and from the aspect of creating experts. You're not just experts in your field, you're experts for the world. And I think this is a moment where we need to celebrate that kind of, ambitious, that we want to take our national expert program even globally, trying to solve for global challenges, moving away from our office and desks to rural areas, to places where there's real meaningful challenges, and create problems to find opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.